Hi there, my name's Ruth from ruthnorbury.com, formerly Gothic Decay, and I'm going to show you what I'm currently working on at the moment. So this is a picture that my husband James and I designed together on Photoshop. It's a composite image of various different things, but this is the final result that we came up with. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to tackle this section here. As a quick little sample guide, that's just a sort of basic look at what I'm going to do, so we'll get started and see how we do it. So I've started doing some of the stitching now, because I want it to be, I'm going to cut this out and apply it onto a piece of fabric later. So because I'm going to make it wet, I don't want the background to also get wet, because it'll then mess up things that are happening on top of it. So I start by backstitching around. Anytime I'm doing any stem stitch, I will backstitch around. It just ends up making it much neater at the edge. Try to keep them reasonably small, because otherwise they sort of sag and it makes it harder to follow the line. But I just find that when you backstitch around, it makes it a much sort of smoother edge. I don't know why it works, but it just seems to, so I do as I'm told. So I'm just going to finish this little bit of backstitching here. I've got two threads in the needle, two different colours. I find again personally that if you for something like stem stitch or straight stitch, if you've got two colours in the needle, it just ends up giving it a little bit of how do I put it? It doesn't quite, it can look a little bit childish if you've just got red and blue and yellow. So if you've got two different colours in there, it just adds a little bit of they can be quite close together, they don't have to be as far apart as these are. You know, this kind of it's a sort of turquoisey kind of colour and a sort of very pale creamy kind of colour. They can be very close together in colour, but it just seems to help make everything I don't know, somehow look a bit more professional like. So I've finished all the backstitch around here. There's no need to backstitch down the lines because oh, bit of cat hair. You're going to put stem stitch straight down here, and so if you end up backstitching down here as well, you end up kind of having to do extra stitches to cover up the backstitch, so I don't bother. So we just put the needle in and stitch down this line. Not very good at ever seeing what the camera can see, so I keep scooting off to the side, sorry about that. So we just do a little stem stitch straight down here. Now I'm only using one piece of fabric in the hoop, and I'm hoping that isn't going to come and bite me in the bottom, because normally I would use two, but I think it's quite a small piece, it should be okay. And normally I use two because it stops it all sort of pulling and puckering, so it gives it a bit of extra stability, but I've just made sure it's really, really tight in my hoop, and hopefully that will do the job instead. So we'll just stem stitch down here. It's always harder to do when you're on the camera. I feel the need to rush it a bit. So much cat hair. So just cram them up as close as you can together, and try to make sure that you don't keep, you know, when you kind of go back on yourself to do a stem stitch, you don't try not to keep them all in a straight line, otherwise you kind of end up with little stripes down the way. You'll see my needles are bent and all kinds of things, but if you want to learn any embroidery basics, I have videos of those, you know, what hoops to choose and you know what needles and all that kind of thing. So if this is all going a bit fast, just go back and have a look at those and see how you get on. And just keep going like this until you get down to the other end of here. Carry on for a little bit so you can see the effects of the two different colours in the needle. You just have to have a little play around with it because it doesn't always come out overall the colour you think it's going to, as it were. If you stand back for a distance, it's not, I'm sure it is a halfway between the two colours, but it doesn't always come across like that somehow. It's not always as easy as you think to do. Start to cheat now and do them a bit longer, aren't we? Just do one more line, otherwise you'll all be bored rigid watching. So I know this is a bit of a departure from my usual work, but I fancy trying something, or having another go at something I did a while back. And I just did a commission in this style, and it got me quite excited about doing it again. So lots and lots and lots of embroidery coming up, which is great. There we go. That's enough for now, and I'll come back to you when I've done that, by the miracle of the internet. There we go. By the magic of the internet, biddling, we're all complete. So I've just stitched all the way across in stem stitch, shaded the colour just by putting a few little orange stitches in this one and turquoise stitches in this side, and just blended the two together. So now I'm going to add a little bit more fun. Despite what this says on it, it's actually just watered down walnut ink from this company here, Art Van Gogh. I'm not sponsored or anything like that, it's just give them a shout because that's what I'm using. So I've got this the wrong way round, have I? No, it's the right way round. Yep, that way round. So this is just watered down walnut ink. So we'll just give it a little spray just to wet everything up a little bit. So you can see how thin it is. It's not really changing the colour of the fabric very much at all. So then we get our little crystals of walnut ink. You don't need very many at all because this stuff is seriously strong. And then we'll just sprinkle it onto the threads. Try and get some of it on the thread. Come on, Ruth. There we go. And I've forgotten my paintbrush. Where is it? There we go. And just kind of tap it all in a little bit. Now I'll just give it another quick spray because the colour doesn't seem to be coming out very much. So just a quick gentle one. There we go. And just sort of tippy tap. Some of it will come off onto the paintbrush, and so it'll spread around the more you tap it. It's working better on the fabric than it is on the threads, isn't it? Never mind. It'll get there. Try not to forget the edges. It's tempting to just go in the middle bit, and then you end up with a sort of stripe of dark down the middle. Oh, see if we can pick some up off here. There we go. There we go, and then we'll wait for that to dry. And there we go. Try and show you close up there, but you can see it's all it's neat stitching, but it's all yucky colours, so fits me perfectly. So I don't know quite what I'm going to call this video at all, but we'll work on that. And if you fancy having a go at it, it's nice and simple to try. And if you want any of the things to buy any of the things in the video, just have a look in the links below. And thank you very much for watching. And to see any more of my work, please visit ruthnorbury.com.